Ireland, but we made the tour d'horizon throughout the whole situation we are facing, Japan, Venezuela, others, because when I'm meeting my good friend, we are not only discussing the issues people do think that we are exclusively discussing, but Ireland being one of the driving forces in Europe, we have to discuss other things than those which are more or less on the agenda. But nevertheless, we did so. And we are in total agreement when it comes to all the questions related to the Brexit. As far as the European Commission, myself, Michel Barnier, the whole of the college are concerned, we are sticking to the line. We promised the Irish, I did it myself in the Irish Parliament, Ireland will not be left alone. And so I have to make it very clear that the backstop is not the backstop for the pleasure of having a backstop, but that the backstop is needed for obvious vital reasons, and we cannot abandon the idea that the backstop has to be put into place, because the backstop is a guarantee for Ireland and is a guarantee for the European Union, because the Irish border is a European border, and the Brexit issue is not a bilateral question between the Republic of Ireland and the United Kingdom. It's a European issue, and that's why we cannot accept the idea, which is circulated around, that the withdrawal agreement could be reopened. And as the backstop is part of the withdrawal agreement, we cannot reopen the discussion on the backstop. I will tomorrow have the pleasure to welcome the British Prime Minister, and she knows that the Commission is not prepared to reopen the issue. This is the common position of the 27 and thus of the Commission. This is the position of the Commission and thus of the 27. So, Leo, please.
Thank you very much, Jean-Claude. And just to say, it was a really good meeting, and we were joined in the meeting by a number of officials, but of course Commissioner Hogan was present as well, and Michel Barnier. Discussed Brexit, but as the President said, discussed a number of other issues as well, because the European agenda is deep and broad and deals with many things other than Brexit. Particularly congratulated the President on concluding our free trade agreement between the EU and Japan, which is going to be worth hundreds of thousands to European countries in terms of jobs, in terms of further investment, in terms of further trade between the EU and Japan. Also the situation in Venezuela. And you'll know that Minister Coveney is particularly focused on that today, calling for the restoration of democracy, free elections, human rights and economic opportunity in that country, and some other questions relating to the ongoing efforts we're making to deepen the single market and prepare for the MFF negotiations. Obviously on Brexit, focused on the current impasse and our desire to conclude the withdrawal agreement and have it ratified both by Westminster and the European Parliament. We should not forget that both parliaments must ratify this, and I came from a meeting earlier in the European Parliament was a very strong view that no withdrawal agreement will be ratified by the European Parliament that doesn't do right by Ireland. And I was very pleased to have that statement reaffirmed. And of course we had some discussion as well on no deal planning. Ireland is increasingly prepared for no deal. We don't want no deal. We think it can be avoided. But obviously we have to prepare for it nonetheless, and have taken measures necessary, such as the emergency legislation, which will go through our Parliament this week, or this month rather, and also land we've secured at our ports, Dublin and Rosslare, and we'll put in place the necessary facilities to be ready on the 29th of March, should we have to deal with the no-deal Brexit, something we are increasingly prepared for. Also had a discussion on the kind of supports that will be put in place for farmers and for fishermen who may be affected by it. They'll be the most affected, but also for exporters as well. Means by which we can provide aid to farmers and fishermen, means by which we can intervene in businesses that are adversely affected, either to rescue and restructure them, or to provide capital loans to allow them to reorientate their business away from trade with Britain towards trade with the rest of the world. We've also agreed a joint statement, which I think should have been issued to you by now, which is our joint statement and the outcome of today's meeting. But just to say, as the President has said, we stand by the withdrawal agreement, which of course includes the protocol on Ireland, and within that, the backstop on Ireland and Northern Ireland. The withdrawal agreement, let's not forget, is already a compromise. It was co-designed with the British government, contains large elements that they designed and requested. It's been agreed by 28 governments, including the UK government, and we very much stand by it. Obviously, of course, we'll always listen to suggestions that the UK government has to make, particularly in relation to the joint political declaration on the future relationship. But that is very much in the context of a future relationship discussion. Also, I'll be meeting Prime Minister May on Friday. She'll be coming tomorrow, coming to Dublin on Friday evening. We'll have dinner together, and we'll have an opportunity as well to discuss the situation and work together to chart a way forward.
Donny, please. Tony Connolly from Irish Television, RTE. Taoiseach, notwithstanding Donald Tusk's remarks about special places in hell this morning, he also said that he was hopeful a solution could be found. Do you have a view as to which kind of narrow space Theresa May might find something that will work for her and get this agreement through the House of Commons? And secondly, did you discuss in any detail with President Juncker what might happen at the Irish border in the event of a no-deal scenario? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'm confident that a solution can be found. But we should bear in mind that the threat of no deal is not a threat that the European Union is making. It's not a threat that Ireland is making. This March 29th deadline is a deadline set in Britain by Britain, and it is open to the United Kingdom to request an extension to Article 50, provided there's a purpose to that, or to revoke Article 50 if that's their wish. So the threat of no deal is not one that Ireland is making, not one that the European Union is making, not one that has to be visited on our citizens, on our businesses, or in our economies. It's not our threat in any way. In terms of what can be done, obviously the joint political declaration on the future relationship, that can certainly be enhanced. And we've discussed as well in the past what assurances and guarantees could potentially be given to the UK government. But in terms of getting a vote through the Westminster Parliament, there's two things I would say. First of all, bear in mind this also has to go through the European Parliament. Yeah. There's more than one Parliament in Europe, and the European Parliament will have to ratify this as well. And I know the European Parliament will not ratify any withdrawal agreement that doesn't do right by Ireland, that doesn't secure the peace in Northern Ireland, and will of course want to insist that we protect the integrity of the single market and the customs union, which Ireland wants to protect as well, because it's core to our economic and industrial strategy, core to our prosperity, that we're in the Eurozone, we're at the heart of the European project, and we will protect the single market and customs union. I do have a concern about this idea around alternative arrangements. We need to bear in mind that this majority that perhaps existed or did exist in the House of Commons for alternative arrangements probably only exists because alternative arrangements can mean whatever you want them to mean. And I don't believe that would have passed if people actually had to get into the detail of what alternative arrangements might mean or might not mean. That concept is there in the joint political declaration on the future relationship. It is something that can be explored, something we can talk about, but cannot result in the deletion of the backstop. And that's the fundamental point. It's there in the joint political declaration, in the future relationship, to be worked on in the years ahead. But it cannot be done in such a way that deletes the backstop.
Kevin, please. Kevin Doyle. Oh, sorry.
The Irish Independent. Taoiseach, you said before that in the event of a no deal there would have to be difficult conversations held with Europe. Was today the start of those difficult conversations about what might happen at the border if a no deal develops? And Mr Juncker, can Irish industry, particularly things like the agri-sector, expect some sort of financial assistance or a relaxation of some of the EU rules in the event of a no deal? What can the EU offer to Ireland? It's in your no deal contingency that Ireland will be more affected than any other country. So what can we expect from the EU in that scenario? And just to both leaders, do you agree with Donald Tusk that there is a special place in hell for Brexiteers who didn't have a plan?
You go first.
I'm less Catholic than my good friend Donald. So he strongly believes in heaven, and by opposite in hell. I believe in heaven, and I have never seen the hell apart during the time I was doing my job here. It's a hell. As far as your other question is concerned, we stand ready to help, but I don't like the expression help, to be acting in full solidarity with Ireland in the case you are mentioning. But this is not my working assumption. My working assumption is not a no deal. And my working assumption is not that this concept of alternative arrangements are a plan. These alternative arrangements can be put under meditation for the future, not for now. The so-called alternative arrangements can never replace the backstop. We need the backstop. We need the withdrawal agreement. And when it comes to future relations, we can have a look into alternative arrangements, but they will never replace the backstop. There is no way to have a unilateral jumping out of the backstop, because the backstop is needed as a guarantee. A safety net is not a safety net if it can be destroyed by the unilateral action of one of the parties. So I'm repeating myself by saying we are sticking to the line we were mentioning since day one.
What about the idea of financial assistance?
No, but I was saying that we stand ready to assist, but I don't like this word assist, in Ireland when it comes to farmers, when it comes to others. So when I said that Ireland will not be left alone, this is also true when this kind of measures have to be introduced, but I don't believe that the no-deal situation is the most probable one.
I think, to answer your question, Kevin, I think it's always important to recall that the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland isn't just a border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. It's also going to be the new EU-UK frontier.
Yeah.
So this isn't just a question for Ireland. It's not just a question of maintaining the peace process, protecting the Good Friday Agreement, although that is the overriding objective and has to be. It is also a question of making sure that we protect the single market and the customs union, and that Ireland doesn't become a backdoor to the single market and the customs union. So if at some point in the future the United Kingdom were to allow chlorinated chicken or beef with hormones into it, into their markets, we wouldn't want that coming into our markets or the European Union as well. But as I've said before, we're making no preparations, no plans for physical infrastructure on the border. We haven't really got into the details of that today, but we will do whatever is necessary to avoid the emergence of a hard border on our island, deal or no deal.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Andrew Burns, Sunday Times. Taoiseach, can I ask you how you interpret Chancellor Merkel's comments this week that she expects or is open, the EU should be open to creative suggestions on the backstop? Do you think that refers to alternative arrangements to be discussed in the transition period, or something more creative in the coming weeks from the UK side? And President Juncker, you were handed a greeting card, I believe, which said "Thank you, Ireland." Could you tell us what it said on the card?
It was private.
It was a thank you message from a family in Dublin.
Yeah.
So it was nice, really nice. I can't obviously interpret Chancellor Merkel's comments for you, but all politicians are creative, and I think we've already been very creative in the withdrawal agreement. Let's not forget where we started. We started with a backstop that would apply only to Northern Ireland. It was the request of the United Kingdom that we extend that to include a customs union or a single customs territory involving the United Kingdom. At their request, we included a review clause. Subsequent to that, we provided a letter of guarantees. So, I think we've been very creative all along, and perhaps it's for those who have created this problem to be a bit creative now.
Do you expect more suggestions from the Prime Minister on Friday?
Say again, sorry?
Do you expect more suggestions from the Prime Minister on Friday?
I don't know, but one thing I can definitely say is that no matter what happens in the next couple of months, Ireland and the United Kingdom are nearest neighbours. We're very strong trading partners with each other, and we have a particular shared responsibility to Northern Ireland, to the peace process and to the Good Friday Agreement. So we have to have good relations no matter what happens, and I look forward to meeting the Prime Minister in Dublin on Friday night.
This concludes our press conference. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.